Good morning, dear children. In the previous class, we started with the history chapter, Women, Caste and Reform. In the previous class, we discussed the condition of the girls some 200 years before. They were not allowed to move out of their houses, neither they were allowed to be educated. And we also discussed that the Indian society was divided into four castes. On top were the Brahmins, then Kshatriyas, then Vaishyas, then Shudras, and finally it was untouchables. We also discussed the condition of the untouchables. They were not allowed to use the public places where upper caste went. Then finally we discussed about the reformers who came to bring a drastic change in the Indian society. Today, we are going to study about the different Indian reformers who worked very hard to bring changes in the life of the girls, in the life of women, to remove Sati Pratha from the society. And these reformers, they were successful in their hard work and dedication. So let's study some of the Indian reformers who brought a drastic change in the Indian society. So children, in the previous class, we studied about the condition of girls some 200 years ago. They were not allowed to be educated and they were married at an early age. They were not allowed to go out of their houses and their condition was not well off. They were married at an early age and if their husband died, the girls have to burn herself on the fire of her husband. That was known as Sati. Then we also discussed about the caste division. The Indian society was divided into Brahmins on top, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, untouchables. Untouchables, as I have told you, they were not allowed to enter temples, draw water from wells used by the upper caste or bath in the pond where upper caste bathed. They were seen as inferior human beings. Then came the reformers. Reformers were the people who thought that now the time has come that there should be change in society and unjust practices had to be done away with. They also thought that the best way to ensure such changes was by persuading people to give up old practices and adopt a new way of life. Then we ended our previous class, by just reading the name of the Indian reformers who brought a change in the Indian society, a change for the livelihood of the girls. Amongst them, on top is the name of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he formed a reform association known as the Brahmo Sabha in Calcutta. Ram Mohan Roy was keen to spread the knowledge of Western education in the country. He started campaigning against the practice of sati. He tried to show in his writings that widow burning had no sanction in ancient texts. Many British officials were more than willing to listen to Ram Mohan Roy, who was reputed to be a learned man. So finally, with his hard work and great dedication towards the women, in 1829, sati was banned. Now, the other name who worked hard for the improvement of the girls for the benefit of the females was Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar used the ancient texts to suggest that widows should remarry. His suggestion was adopted and accepted by British officials, and a law was passed in 1856 permitting widow remarriage. Vidyasagar in Calcutta set up schools for girls. Then another reformer was Veerasalingam Pantulu. In the Telugu speaking areas of the Madras Presidency, Veerasalingam formed an association for widow remarriage. Then another name which is still remembered till today is Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Swami Dayanand Saraswati, he formed an association called Arya Samaj. He believed infallibility of the Vedas. He was against idol worship. He supported widow remarriage and wanted women to be educated. So children, till here we have seen that all the reformers, they supported widow remarriage and they worked for the betterment and the fulfillment of women. So finally, what was the drastic change in the Indian society? Girls start going to school. Many reformers in Bombay set up school for girls. When the first schools were opened in the mid-19th century, many people were afraid of them. Many people felt that schools would take girls away from home, prevent them from doing the domestic duties. Moreover, girls had to travel through public places in order to reach school. So many people felt that this could have a corrupting influence on them. Therefore, throughout the 19th century, most educated women were taught at home by liberal fathers or husbands. Another name is of Mumtaz Ali. Mumtaz interpreted verses from the Quran. Quran, as everybody know, it's a holy book of Muslims. She wanted all women to be educated. She encouraged women to learn both religion and a language to understand the outside world. Women started writing about women themselves. Indian women began to enter in universities. So finally, what was the outcome of the hard work done by the reformers? Women, they started beginning to enter in universities. Some of them trained as doctors, and some became teachers. many women began to write and publish their critical views on the place of women in society. Tarabai Shinde, a woman educated at home at Pune, she published a book, Stri Purushottala, criticizing the social differences between women and men. Stri Purush Tulna by Tarabai Shinde. So this is the book, children, which was published by Tarabai Shinde. Pandita Ramabai. Pandita Ramabai, she was a great scholar of Sanskrit. She felt that Hinduism was oppressive towards women. She wrote a book about the miserable lives of upper caste Hindu women. She founded a widow's home at Pune to provide shelter to widows who had been treated badly by the husband's relatives. She also wanted women to be educated so that they could support themselves economically. This is Pandita Ramabai, as you can see, a book written, A Life of Faith and Prayer by R.K. Dongre. Now, let's see few drawbacks. Many Hindu nationalists felt that Hindu women were adopting Western ways and that this would corrupt Hindu culture and erode family values. Orthodox Muslims were also worried about the impact of these changes. So children, this was the drawback. Many Hindu nationalists, they felt that though Hindu women, they have started going to the universities, they have started coming out of their houses, they might adopt Western ways, and due to that this Hindu culture would become corrupt and the family values and ethics will go away. And Orthodox Muslims, they were also worried about the impact of these changes. Now let's see women working for reform. So now when the women got educated and they came out of their houses, they also started working for the changes, for the reforms in the Indian society. Women themselves were actively working for reform. They wrote books, edited magazines, founded schools and training centers, and set up women's association. They formed political pressure groups to push through laws for female suffrage and better health care and education for women. Nationalists promised that there would be full suffrage for all men and women after independence. So they started working hard that along with the men, women should also given the right to vote after independence. Now, the caste and social reforms. The Pratna Samaj adhered to the tradition of bhakti that believed in spiritual equality of all castes. In Bombay, Paramhans Mandali was founded in 1840 to work for the abolition of caste. Many of these reformers and members of Reform Association, they were of upper caste. So often in secret meeting, these reformers could violate caste taboos on food and touch, and it is an effort to get rid of the hold of caste prejudice in their lives. Christian missionaries, they began setting up schools for tribal groups and low caste children. So children, we can very well make out that the whatever work is done, it's not only done for the females or for the upper caste people. It is basically done for everyone living in the Indian society, irrespective of the caste and creed. Now came the demand for labor. The poor began leaving their villages to look for jobs in the cities. Expansion of cities led to new demands for labor. For the work, coolies, diggers, cleaners, sweepers, bricklayers were required. This labor came from the poor, from villages and small towns who came to the cities in search of work. A number of Mahar people who were regarded as untouchable, they too found jobs in the Mahar regiment. Now, the untouchability was still there in the Indian society. So now came the demands for equality. The Satnami movement in central India, founded by a leader named Ghasidas, who came from a lower caste, worked among the leather workers, and he organized the movement to improve their social status. In eastern Bengal, Haridas Thakur's Matua sect worked among low caste Chandala cultivators. Haridas questioned Brahminical texts that supported the caste system. So this is Chiran Haridas Thakur. He is giving his speech, his teachings, and this is Sri Narayan Guru. Sri Narayan Guru in what is present day Kerala, a guru from among low caste Ezhavas. Sri Narayan Guru proclaimed the ideals of unity of all people within one sect, a single caste and one guru. Then another reformer is Jyotirao Phule. One of the most vocal amongst the low caste leaders was Jyotirao Phule. He set out to attack the Brahmans' claim that they were superior to others since they were Aryans. Phule argued that Aryans were foreigners, those who came from outside the subcontinent. As the Aryans established the dominance, they began looking at the defeated population as inferior, and the upper caste people had no right to their land and power. So this is Jyotirao Phule. He lived from 11th April 1827 to 28th November 1890. The Satyashodhak Samaj, an association Phule founded, propagated caste equality. In 1873, Phule wrote a book called Gulamgiri, which he dedicated to all the Americans, those who had fought to free slaves. He was concerned about the plight of the upper caste women. Finally came Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was born into a Mahar family. As a child, he experienced what caste prejudice meant in everyday life. In school, he was forced to sit outside the classroom on the ground and was not allowed to drink water from taps that upper caste children used. In 1990, he wrote extensively about upper caste power in contemporary society. Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Periyar, as he was called, came from middle-class family. He became a member of the Congress only to leave it in disgust when he found out that at a feast organized by nationalists, sitting arrangements follow caste distinction, that is, the lower caste were made to sit at a distance from the upper caste. He founded the self respect movement. That's all for today, children. Go through the chapter and try to understand what work were done by the social reformers to modernize the Indian society. Thank you. Have a good day.